Am I the a-hole for suing my ex and her boyfriend? Plus updates. My ex and I divorced 3 years ago. She was cheating, but at this point, I don't care about the relationship anymore. The pending lawsuit has nothing to do with her or him, but rather their actions. My ex and I have a son, 13 male, that we split time with 50-50. He's a great kid. That interests have changed a lot, to be honest, as I imagine more kids/teenagers tend to do through the years. One thing my son was heavily into at some point was Legos. He uses to play with them all the time, and personally, I think they're a great toy for different reasons. I used to love playing them with him, and to this day, I still collect boxes that I'll leave unopened as a collection. Well, when my ex and I divorced, she got with someone who loved Legos more, I guess. From what I know, he loves making creations and building the sets in. I don't care. Seems cool. He does one thing I think is very, very weird though. He uses crazy glue so that the sets can't break or pieces can't be lost. It seems so weird to me. The issue is, I was out of town for all 3 days of last week for medical reasons, and my son wanted to get his PS4 so he could play it at his mom's. This isn't out of the ordinary at all, and he has a key, so he let me know he would be stopping over for it. I told him to have fun when I saw him on the entry camera. My wife's husband was with him, which was a no-no, and I told him via speaker to not go in and to wait on the porch. He flinched, but walked in anyway. I sent my ex a text telling her to call him and tell him he's 1 minute away from a cop call. He left my home, but with a bag in hand, which I didn't think much of because my son had his games too. Well, my son texted me later that evening and said he didn't know it at the time, but he's pretty sure the boyfriend took some of my sets. These are all old sets, and the two are worth big money. When I got home, I confirmed the missing sets and called my ex. She had no idea, but he admitted he took them, but it was so son could have the sets to complete his collection. My son doesn't even like Legos anymore, and told his mom he wouldn't steal from me. My wife asked how much it would cost to replace them, and unfortunately, it's more than their savings. Actually, it would take their house down payment, plus more. I told them if they didn't pay in 2 weeks, I was suing and pressing charges, and the price of the sets makes it a felony. My ex and her husband are saving for a house, which would give my son more space when he's there. But those sets were going to help pay for his education someday, or a home of his own. I filed a police report and have talked to a lawyer, and we're moving forward with the suit. Everyone is calling me a joke because they are toys, but I don't get it. They are worth real money. I'm not rich, guys. I needed those to help with my son's future. But again, taking this money does deny my son things at his mom's house. Am I the a-hole here? Added to add. The sets have been opened, which more than half their worth, and one was glued together. The damage was done already. The stolen items are King's Castle, Milk Truck, Legoland Train Carousel, and the glued one was a Star Wars Snow Speeder. Some of these are one piece of a larger set. So if you lose 1 of 5, you lose the value of one product, plus the value of the set as a whole. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Looking at it from just a monetary value, I don't believe your friends would be saying the same if he had stolen X amount of money. He shouldn't have entered your house without permission, and he shouldn't have stolen the sets. He broke the law, so he faces the consequences of his actions. It's about as simple as that. The man is a thief, plain and simple. He committed a felony and needs to face the consequences for his actions. Also, there's no way he didn't go in there for the sole purpose of stealing those sets. Not the a-hole OP. You might also want to consider going for full custody. You don't want your son spending 50% of his time with a felon and someone enabling a felon. Or at least a restraining order against a boyfriend, so he can't enter your property again without consequences. To be fair, entering a property without the owner's permission, or in this case specifically with the owner telling you to get lost, is always going to have consequences. Wait, so someone who you didn't want in your house entered your house and then took something from you? How are you anything but not the a-hole? They are arguing that I'm denying our son a bigger living space while she has him. This is actually true. Well, not by denying it, but it would take all their savings for a house and they'd still fall short. So they're trying to blame the victim. This is an easy fix on their part. Return what they stole and everything goes away. Are they fighting with you about this? They can't return them in the same condition. They were all opened and one was out together, glued. Opening the box takes a lot of the value away, unfortunately. For anyone wondering, the milk truck is worth between 2 and 3,000. The King's Castle goes anywhere from 500 to 1,000. The snow speeder is around 300 to 500, and the only cheap one is the Legoland train, and that's if it's the 2016 one, and goes for about $46. Now for the first update. I know I haven't been here much, but I have read many of your comments and taken them to heart. I know my spelling is poor, guys, and I apologize for the format. Calling me names in my private message was not called for, and I am not a scalper. I enjoy buying these sets and do not intend to sell all of them, but I want my son to go to college and not worry about debt, so I want to sell the ones that I can to help. I never had a smarts for higher education, but my son is not me, and I love him and want him to do better. Around 4 p.m., I called the local state police and met at their facility. I gave them all I had and gave my statement. My son is with me starting tonight, so when I picked him up, I sent him into GameStop and called his mom. I told her I had filed charges, and I asked the cop to call me when everything was done so I could give him the opportunity to turn himself in. I wanted to be better than he treated me. I'll save her reaction for a real update, by the way. Then I told my son when we got home what I did and why. My son said that I did the right thing, because he didn't want his stepdad to think it was okay to do it again. And if he didn't go to jail, he'd rather be away from him so it isn't weird. And now for the full update. I have received a few requests regarding posting an update, and I did promise to update the situation once it was resolved. And as far as I have any say, the headache is over for the most part. I can't say that I feel whole, but I'm not angry about it as I think the consequences are something to respect. I read through most of the comments and really appreciate the time most of you took out of your day to offer advice and well wishes. I know I didn't respond to all of them, but your time and care were noticed. I accept all your judgments, but I must say your kindness blew me away while some took time out of their day just to be mean, which is on you, I guess. I understand Legos are toys, but I enjoy the hunt, and it's worth it to me. As I said, I decided to go to the police with a video, my statement, texts from my ex, and emails. I told the police I wanted this pursued as he had entered my house after being told not to, and stole valuables. They took everything I had to offer, and as of yesterday, my ex's boyfriend was arrested for a few different violations/loss. He was charged with grand larceny and breaking and entering, among a few other charges. My ex is really upset at me, and him. However, she bailed him out, so I'm guessing she isn't too upset with him. Ex's boyfriend has called a few times and showed up once. He left the used sets on my porch, and I'm not sure what he thinks that does at this stage. They aren't worthless, but their value is less than half. I told my lawyer he did this, and she was blown away. Then I sent an email to my ex telling her and him to stay away from me at my home, and I only wanted to hear from her if it was concerning our child. This was his first offense to my knowledge, so I don't expect him to do jail time. However, my lawyer said it was possible due to the amount of crimes and when/how they took place. Apparently, doing that during the day is worse, and he did it in front of my child, which doesn't help him. I expect a leg day probation, to be honest with all of you, but I'm very far from a legal expert. I spoke to the lawyer on Tuesday this week regarding the loss, and unfortunately, I'm looking at a tough road ahead of me. The pieces stolen are valued at what they sell at auction, which the local DA will decide which auctions are reputable. So, that could go different ways. Moreover, the fact the boyfriend broke up my sets were irrelevant. The lawyer said it would be like stealing one baseball card out of an entire set and burning it. You are only owed the value of that one card even if you can't get that one card again. The fact he returned them is an admission of guilt, she said, and that we could definitely reclaim the amount of money and an open set for each would be worth, but it doesn't make the matter better in my opinion. I know a lot of you thought 10 to 20K wasn't nearly enough for a house down payment, but in my neck of woods, it's plenty. And my lawyer recommended we go forward with a civil suit and I agreed. With that and the legal charges, I feel that is well enough. I will have enough savings and Lego stock, lol, to fund his 4 years at a good state school. I wish I could do more, but you can't win them all. My son has been staying with me full-time as he feels it's awkward at his mom's, and is pretty upset at his mom about the whole thing. But I'm trying to smooth that over best I can, considering the circumstances. He has asked to stay here full-time, which I support, and told his mom as much. I told her we could do it through courts or keep it simple, and I think she wants to keep it simple. I haven't thought much about child support, but I don't think asking for a small amount would be bad. I don't want to break my ex, but our kid should come first. Thank you to everyone for their well wishes and thoughts. Best of luck to everyone out there. Again, if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. Seriously, at what point did this grown man who knew he was not allowed in the house think that taking obviously unopened and collectible Lego sets to then glue them together was not going to go his way? Well, we are talking about somebody who glues their Lego sets together. I hate to say it, but I had this exact thought. The kind of person who glues Lego sets together is not the kind of person who understands what makes them valuable to collectors, as a rule. I will never understand the people who dismiss this kind of thing as, oh, those are just toys, without even thinking about it. Hell, I have a Lego collection that is all out of boxes and assembled, and that collection is still valuable enough to merit a specific rider on my homeowner's insurance. A lot of people fabulously undervalue something if they don't care about it. After all, how much could it be worth to you if it doesn't hold any value to me? It blows my mind that the ex really thought he could go in and steal the sets without any consequences, and then bringing them back. The absolute cheek of entering the house to steal valuables, while the homeowner is on the intercom telling you to get out, and that you don't have their permission to enter, and then acting shocked when your blatantly criminal actions are being treated as criminal actions. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law to get over himself and to quit holding a 10-year-old grudge? My brother-in-law, married to my sister, is a general contractor. About 10 years ago, my dad and brother was building a deck at my parents' home. They asked my brother-in-law if they could borrow his skid loader, but he said no. They prepared the ground as best as they could without a skid loader, but got to the point they couldn't go on without it. They went to my sister's house to ask again, but found out brother-in-law went out of town. They talked my sister into letting them borrow it, so she took them down to his construction lot and they hooked it up to Dad's truck. This next part I'm not sure of since I don't know much about towing, but from what I was told, Dad's truck wasn't big enough or powerful enough to tow the skid loader on a dump trailer, so lost control and wrecked. The truck, trailer, and skid loader were totaled. The insurance was barely enough to cover the medical costs and the truck, and there was none left over to cover brother-in-law's stuff. When he got back to town, he exploded. He threatened to sue, and things just went downhill from there. My parents are not rich, and he wouldn't have gotten anything, so in the end, sister talked him into letting it go. However, from that day on, he wouldn't have anything to do with our family. He doesn't come for birthdays, holidays, nothing at all. Next month is our parents' 50th anniversary, and we're planning a big family gathering to celebrate. We're also chipping in to send our parents on a cruise to Mexico because they've never been out of the country. I spoke to sister about it the other day and she said she's coming with the kids but brother-in-law's not coming. I was fine with that, but when we were discussing their portion of the cruise money, I heard him yelling in the background to deduct their portion from the cost of the skid loader and the dump trailer. That angered me. So after my call with sister, I called brother-in-law and told him to get over himself. I said Dad and brother made a mistake. But that was 10 years ago and he needs to let it go. He said let it go when they give him the money he lost. I told him he's an a-hole for holding on to a grudge and putting money in the way of a family relationship. Sister called me a few minutes ago and said they're not coming anymore and that I was out of line. We argued for a bit and that's where it stands. I don't think I'm wrong for telling him to let go of the past, but they're not coming to the anniversary party, so now I'm not sure. Answers to your questions. Let's get something straight. My dad and brother are not bad people. They are good people who made a mistake. They couldn't pay back brother-in-law because he wanted almost $70,000. And again, we're not rich. Dad had to buy another truck because he needed it to go to work. On the other hand, brother-in-law had other 3 sets of skid loaders and dump trailers on his lot that day, so he could take the financial hit while my parents would be homeless. Brother-in-law and sister are way better off than the rest of us, so while I understand your reasoning for paying brother-in-law back, he doesn't need it. The cruise to Mexico isn't some millionaire trip. The total cost is about $3,000. It'll take over 20 people to pay for that. Again, we're not rich. We can barely cover $3,000 spread out over 20 people. So there's no way we can pay $70,000. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. Your family stole $50,000+ in work equipment from your brother-in-law. They didn't pay him back. By the sounds of it, showed zero remorse, and he should just get over it? You and your family sound massively entitled. Your brother-in-law is smart to cut a lot of you clean off. Not just that, I'm actually surprised insurance paid out anything. In the UK, this would be an at-fault claim, and more likely than not outside the scope of insurance because they are towing beyond their vehicle limit. Parents should be grateful all he's done is ignore them. I would have sued. Courts, again in the UK, set up payment plans, so their relative lack of wealth wouldn't be a major issue. Beyond that, I would have also reported it stolen. To be fair about this though, the sister shouldn't have let them have it against his wishes. It wasn't her stuff to share. He should be pissed off at her as well. You can't have a successful relationship if you're not on the same page. In the UK, brother-in-law could have claimed off his own insurance by reporting the theft, as long as his wife has no authorization within the company to loan out equipment. Of course, this could have led to the prosecution of his wife and her family for the theft, and result in a criminal record, prison sentence, etc. Which they would have deserved. He should have reported it to the police. I am surprised he didn't divorce OP's sister, especially because only he went no contact with father-in-law and brother-in-law. His wife didn't, and she even expected him to let it go, and not try to get compensation for his destroyed stuff. Sister knew he previously said no, and that those are his work equipment, so she has absolutely no right to go anywhere near them, let anyone near them. And now they were talking about OP's sister's family, giving money to the parents after how much they already cost her husband, his family, and company. OP's family has no right to ask sister and her husband for cash at all. You're the a-hole. OP's family's full of entitled a-holes. OP, OP's father, OP's brother, OP's sister.